I had never gone through depression. I never gone through anxiety growing up. And then my brother passes away and I just like start suffering from panic attacks and like to like where I couldn't breathe. And I would like literally feel like I'm going to pass out. It was just so bad, so dark. And I would get like angry at myself or like frustrated where I was like, when am I going to be happy again? Like, this is annoying, you know, like I would be really hard on myself because I was like, I should feel better now, you know, like this time has passed, this and that. But then I just realized, you know, like watching a lot of podcasts, talking to people who have gone through it, that it's like, it will pass. And I always just told myself, like, if my brother had known that he was going to pass away, what would he have told me? You know, like stay in this dark depression for the rest of your life or move forward and like keep living and live for me. So that's what I choose to do. And when it comes to depression, anxiety, like that's not something that you can control by just like saying words or saying like, oh, I'm going to be happy today. I just genuinely had to like feel it, go through it. And it still comes in waves, like a roller coaster, you know, like grief is not a linear line, but I'm in another point in my life where I have done so much healing. I've done so much therapy where I am genuinely just like happy again. And I know that my brother's with me just in a different
way. And when you were going through the feeling of depression, did you ever have happy moments? Because I think a lot of the confusion that people have is, at least for myself, like I dealt with depression and anxiety since I was very young. And I've always told myself, I don't want to go to medication, not because it's bad, but just because I didn't want to lean on anything. And I wanted to kind of combat it myself and kind of prove to myself that my mind was going to be stronger or that my willpower and my habits were going to be stronger than anything, and just to feel it through. So when you were feeling the anxiety and depression, and then you would have the moments of happiness, like random spikes. Were you ever confused or like, oh my God, should I be happy? Because I think a lot of the times you're like, oh, I'm feeling happy, but I was just feeling sad. I don't think I'm allowed to feel happy right now.
Like
you know?
You feel guilty.
Yeah.
Especially, I would feel a lot of guilt from like feeling happiness, especially because mine was from like losing my brother. That I was like, oh, like, why am I happy? Like, does that mean I don't care about him? Like, does that mean I don't love him? But it's just part of also imposter syndrome, just like so much stuff where it's like, we are allowed to feel whatever we want to feel. Like there is no right or wrong way on how to feel.
Well, I think you're allowed to feel two feelings at the same time because we're forever evolving, we're forever feeling, and there's so many thoughts that go through our mind at a constant. I could be getting this wrong, but in the last season, Carla said that I think it's like 90,000 thoughts we have a day. And I was like, I have 120,000 then because I be overthinking so much. So it's like the idea of that many thoughts in one day is insane. But okay, so your brother passed unexpectedly. You were not expecting it, and you go through depression. How long did that pass for you, and how was the first week of depression for you?
I truly cannot tell you how the first year was because I blacked out.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't drinking. I went like, my family and I truly went like the clean route. We were like, okay, I'm not going to even like touch alcohol. I wasn't drinking. I've never done drugs. So I wasn't on that, like nothing. I just like truly was so depressed that I cannot remember. This is so crazy, but I went to Mexico City like a few months after he passed because I was nominated for an MTV Meow Award. I would not have wanted to be traveling, but like I had to, you know, it was a big deal. So I went and whatever. Then I ended up going to Mexico City again 2 years later or 1 year later. And I was like, wow, I'm experiencing Mexico City for the first time. I was like, I don't remember anything. I don't remember anything from Mexico City. I don't remember the food, like nothing, because I was so depressed and sad that like my mind completely blacked it out.
There's people that have told me conversations that I've had in times in my life where I know I was going through really hard times and depressive episodes that they're like, yeah, you remember you told me this, and I have no memory of it.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I'm like, keep telling me. I'm like, it's going to come to me. It's going to come to me. And I'm like, or the worst is when you meet somebody in that time in your life and you have no memory of meeting them.
Yeah.
Because your brain is just shut off.
You're a zombie.
Yeah. So from that to then making you want to create a book, how long was that timeline?
So the first year of like my brother passing, so actually the first month, right when we came back to the US because he passed away in Colombia. So we did the funeral in Colombia and then we flew back. We literally brought back inpatient therapists with us from Colombia, and they lived with us for a month and a half, like doing like intense therapy and energy healing. And I feel like that was like the best thing that we could have ever done. Like, because I was doing like 3 sessions a day, but not just like regular therapy sessions. It was like I was on the ground, like eyes closed, like energy flowing, like just so much like crazy things. So I did get a lot of healing done the first year, which was very necessary. But I feel like I didn't start feeling like myself again till 3 years, which one of my best friends, her mom passed, and she told me like, just wait till the 3-year mark. It's like a proven thing. After the 3-year mark, like you're better. But my book the idea of wanting to write a book came a year after, like a year and a half after. And I just remember like I was starting to feel better and I was starting to get more clarity. And I was like, there's no way God put this pain in my heart just to like be depressed and like also like keep it in, like I was also seeing the amount of response I was getting on social media when I would talk about my grief and like my journey. And I was like, okay, social media, stories only last 24 hours, this and that. How can I make my story reach the people that it needs to reach and like a larger audience and also live on forever? And I was like, I need to write a book. Like, this is like my purpose. Like, this is why God put this in my heart and like in my path. And I have a platform and I have people who follow me and I have people that look for me as guidance because they're going through grief or they lost someone or whatever the case may be. So I was like, I need to write a book. And I reach out to my team and I'm like, I want to write a book this year and I want it to be with Penguin Random House, which was like, it's the biggest editorial in the world. And they were like, okay, like we'll reach out to them. They reached out to them. They never like got back to me. And then I was like, maybe like 4 months passed. And I was like, well, my story needs to be told. So then let's go to Planet Hollywood, which is like the second biggest. And then they were like, okay. And Planet Hollywood right away was like, we want her story. And right when I was like going to sign a contract with them, Penguin got back and they were like, we want it. So I ended up doing a book with Penguin and it was so crazy because I thought that I was going to get a ghostwriter. Like I was like, I can't write my own book. Like, and I've always like journaled to God. And like when my brother passed away, I started journaling to him and that's like how I connect with him and all that. So I had all my journal pages and I was like, I told them, I wrote out like a 1 page of what I wanted my book to be about and all of this. And then they got back to me. They're like, we'll do her book, but she has to write it herself. Like, we do not want her to have a ghostwriter. Like, her story needs to be told by her. And that was so incredible to me because I didn't even believe in myself, like, to write a book. Like, I wanted it to be written. Yeah. And it was like the most amazing thing that they believed in me because I was like, hey, if they do, then like, I got to do it, Right. And it was also the most healing thing in the world because it's one of the hardest things I've done, having to write out and like relive. And not just that, like I called my grandma, I called my mom and my dad, like I sat with them and I was like, okay, tell me my story from the beginning. Like, how did we move to the US? Because my book starts from like immigrating to the US, like before that. And just listening to it from like my parents' like point of view and like really like, I'm like, this is something I can pass down like generations and they'll hear my story and my parents' story and my grandma's story, like, yeah, it's just really beautiful. I don't know if I even answered your question.
I don't even remember the question now, but I just know that I loved hearing the story because I actually never knew how the book came about. But I guess like something that really resonated with me when you were saying it was the fact that, you were leaning on God and then you started leaning on your brother when journaling. And I'm going to say something that may be a little spicy. Okay. I guess it's the word I'm going to use.
Well, that's you, so yeah. Makes sense.
So in the process of grieving, and I think that as a person that believes in God, as a person that has a relationship with God, it's something that may be not heard enough to say out loud, but in that process, were you ever mad at God?
Yes. Absolutely. I was so angry. Like the different stages of grief, like at first I was just so sad and then I got so angry and I was like, why me? Like, why my brother? Like, why are you doing this to my parents? Like so much anger came about, but all of that, like thankfully with therapy. And then I truly, truly believe that like everything that happens to us is meant to happen to us. You know, I have goosebumps, but I truly, truly believe that. And like, it's so hard because when someone passes away, it's like, you can't tell them like, oh, this is part of God's plan. Like, this is, like someone would have told me that, I would have cussed them out. Like, right. Like, no, like what? But now I truly believe that, so it's like someone once told me like, they go from being the main character in your story to being the director. And I truly believe that, because in everything that I do, I feel like my brother is just like guiding me. It's like he opens each door, like, this is for you. No, I'm going to close this door because this is not meant for you. And I'm like, okay, God, Fab, my guardian angels, like, guide me, you know, like take the wheel.